Hi everyone, welcome back. We have another STEM Sundays with Emily episode for you today, and as promised, it is fall themed. So today we're going to be talking about apples. I don't know about you guys, but I live in upstate New York, and this time of the year is prime apple picking season. I love doing it with my friends and family, and my company even sponsors a fun apple picking event. So for an upstate New Yorker, I love talking about apples, I love eating about apples, even more, but I thought it would be a great opportunity to discuss the life cycle of an apple. I know for a lot of people, we see apples in the grocery store or out in our yards if we have apple trees, if we're lucky, and we just savor the fruit, put it into a pie, just eat it as a whole fruit itself, but we never really think about how an apple gets to us at the grocery store or on a tree in our yard. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk a little bit about how we get to this point where we have a yummy apple that we can eat, especially in these fall seasons. So let's jump right in. So this isn't an activity really today, but more of a learning opportunity that you might be able to share with some friends and family the next time you have some apple crisp or apple pie or just yummy fresh apples. So it all starts, like most things, most plants, with a seed. So a seed gets planted or falls into the ground and gets covered with soil. Now with water and proper sunlight, that will allow the seed to grow roots, which plant itself into that soil and eventually grow into a tree. So that is step number 2. We go from the seed and grow slowly into a tree. Usually takes trees between, I'd say around 5 years to mature into a fully adult tree. And again, with that proper sunlight and proper precipitation, that little seed will grow its roots, which will plant itself and hold it securely in the ground. And then slowly it will sprout into a little baby tree and then grow into a sapling, which is another form for a young tree. And then it will grow into a fully mature tree around 5 years. So it does take a long time just to go from seed to tree. Now, once we have the tree, you might think that, okay, we have the tree, now it's gonna definitely grow some apples, but wrong. And this is something that I learned and really didn't think a lot about until I looked into doing this activity with you guys. So once we have our tree, we don't automatically start growing apples. What we have to grow first are buds. So buds will grow on the branches of our fully mature tree once we get, again, proper sunlight and precipitation, some water. Now, once we have those buds, those will eventually, around the springtime, burst open and show a beautiful flower. So I grew up with a crab apple tree, which is not a yummy type of apple, but it is an apple tree. So I know a little bit about this just from seeing it grow every year and produce flowers and then be crab apples. So what it will do is you have the bud and it will burst open into a beautiful flower in the springtime. And that is what is necessary for us to start growing our apples here. Once we have those beautiful flowers on our tree, they'll be able to be pollinated. And that is when an insect, you probably know mostly the bees will come and pollinate those flowers, which gives that flower the opportunity and everything it needs now to start growing a fruit. So once that happens to a blossom or a flower, it will start growing that fruit, in this case, our apples. So if you think about it, springtime is when the flowers start blooming, and there's a very short window of time. Those flowers are really only in bloom for about, a month or so, if I can think back to what it looked like in my backyard. So you have 4 weeks for these bees to pollinate as many flowers as they can so that they can grow apples. Now, once that happens, the apples will start growing, and eventually by September, October, at least for us here in upstate New York, we'll finally be able to have a mature, yummy, delicious red or green apple. So that is the stage. You go through the whole process, we finally have our apple. But it is called a life cycle for a reason, and that means it has to eventually complete a full circle. So how do we get back from the apple to our seed? I'm sure we don't eat them. I know that I don't. I don't think many people do, but inside of our apple, you will see the seeds right in that core. So when we eat these or we cut these up for yummy desserts or dishes, we usually throw this core out. But if we wanted to complete that life cycle, all we would have to do is take some seeds from our core and plant them in some sort of soil and hope that they have enough sunlight and enough water and the capacity to grow those roots to stabilize it in that soil. And if you're lucky, in 5 or so years, you'll be able to have a tree that might produce some apples. So that is how we complete the life cycle of an apple. And I hope you learned a little bit, just like I did, about how we go from seed to apple and back to seed again. So enjoy all your apple picking, all your apple eating. We are going to have a pumpkin themed activity for next week and also a fun bonus episode that I'm going to be sharing with you guys right after this, which features one of my very good friends that I just made this year who is an engineer down in the South. So get excited. She did go to Clemson, which as an SU fan, it's a little bit of a rivalry for me, but I'm excited for you guys to meet my friend Lauren and learn about what she does as an engineer. A little bit different than what I do as an engineer, so I'm really happy that she was able to come on and share her story with us. So stay tuned for that bonus episode and get your pumpkins ready for a fun fall activity in our next STEM Sundays episodes. So have a good one, guys. I'll see you then.